Picture this. You're walking through the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, Italy.
Oh, beautiful place.
It really is. So it's crowded, right? The acoustics are echoing off the marble, but then you turn a corner and you just stop entirely in your tracks.
You're standing in front of Sandro Botticelli's masterpiece.
Exactly. The Birth of Venus, painted in 1485 or 1486. And you look at Venus standing on the edge of that giant scallop shell.
With the winds physically blowing her hair across the canvas.
Yeah, and there's just this overwhelming sense of complete effortless grace. I mean, she looks almost weightless, like she just materialized out of the sea foam without a single muscle twitch.
It's absolute physical perfection.
Right. Now, I want you to hold that specific image in your mind, because today on this deep dive, we are taking that 15th century tempera painting and we are crashing it headfirst into the world of cutting-edge 21st century sports biomechanics.
Which, I mean, it sounds like a total contradiction on the surface, doesn't it? We have a Renaissance history painting on one hand, and on the other, we have modern, hyper-granular athletic performance data.
But there's a bridge between these two completely different worlds.
Yes, a single profound concept. The illusion of invisible effort.
And that is exactly our mission today. We're looking at a brilliant presentation from Dr. Christophe Delong regarding Kinexa formation.
It's truly fascinating material.
It is. We're going to explore how the hidden, calculated tension in classical art actually holds the absolute secret to unlocking perfect human movement today. We're talking high-frequency sensors, neurological mapping, and actively erasing the physiological ghosts of old injuries.
It's game-changing stuff.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I promise you, by the end of this conversation, you are going to look at every single movement your body makes in a completely different way.
Well, we really have to start where Dr. Delong starts his presentation, which is with the art itself. Specifically what we call the paradox of mastery.
Right, in Botticelli's figures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you look at his figures, as you noted, they seem born of a breath. They seem liberated from all earthly physical effort.
He's historically known as the painter of absolute lightness. Right?
He is. But the source material makes a critical point here. That lightness is actually an ingenious deception.
A deception, like in the sense that he wanted the viewer to think the creation was spontaneous. Like he just threw the paint onto the canvas and it landed perfectly.
Yeah, the deception is the masking of the labor. What you perceive as spontaneous grace is actually the result of the most rigorous, patient, mathematically agonizing construction imaginable.
Wow.
Botticelli drew, he erased, he corrected, he started over. Dr. Delong's presentation highlights that the line of life in the Birth of Venus was meticulously calculated down to the millimeter.
Long before it was ever actually painted on the canvas.
Exactly. The paradox is that achieving something that looks completely natural requires an incredibly unnatural amount of hidden work.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because it makes me think of, well, an analogy. It's like watching a swan glide across a lake.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. We only see the effortless beauty on the surface, but we don't see the furious, perfectly coordinated paddling happening underneath the water.
Exactly.
But how does this hidden effort apply to a modern athlete? I mean, what is the actual physical mechanism happening under the hood?
Well, Dr. Delong connects this directly to athletic mastery, and he uses a historical text to do it. There's a brilliant quote from Giorgio Vasari.
The famous Italian painter and historian.
Yes, written in 1550 regarding Botticelli. Vasari noted that Botticelli's true strength was synonymous with tension.
So the mastery was about hiding the effort behind the fluidity.
Precisely. And there's a very specific technical name for the way Botticelli painted these graceful lines to achieve that tension. It's called the figura serpentinata, the serpentine line.
Okay, so we are talking about a literal S-curve in the way the body is positioned.
It's deeper than just the shape. The serpentine line represents a double torsion in the body. It is a beautifully controlled imbalance between two opposing forces.
Forces that constantly pull against each other?
Yes, but without ever actually canceling each other out. In modern biomechanics, this exact tension between two opposing forces has a scientific name. It's called agonist-antagonist co-contraction.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about standard bicep and tricep co-contraction, but taken to like an absolute microscopic level of whole body harmony.
Exactly. When you move, your agonist muscle contracts to create the movement. Meanwhile, the antagonist muscle lengthens to control and decelerate it.
Right.
When this functions perfectly, when there is that perfect figura serpentinata harmony running through your entire kinetic chain, your movement is supple, precise, and economical.
Your nervous system essentially wastes Zito energy.
Right. But when that co-contraction is perturbed, the gesture immediately becomes heavy and fragmented. So without modern sensors, Botticelli was painting the ultimate visual representation of perfect co-contraction.
That is just wild. To understand how to apply this to an athlete today, Dr. DeLong points out what we've actually lost in our modern movement patterns, right?
Yes. If you look back at Botticelli's art, the body is always depicted as being in transit.
So Venus isn't just arriving on the shore, she is in the process of arriving.
Precisely. The movement is perfectly continuous. Each phase of the movement feeds directly into the next phase without a single micro-interruption.
And I imagine this is where Dr. DeLong draws a sharp contrast with how most modern athletes train today.
Oh, absolutely. We don't tend to train for continuous flow. We train ballistically. Think about a typical gym workout.
You push a weight up, you stop. You lower it, you stop, you restart.
Exactly. We move in fragments, breaking the kinetic chain that should naturally flow.
Wait, I'm going to push back on this premise for a second because I'm struggling to see the downside here. Isn't athletic training all about explosive stop-and-go power?
It seems like it would be.
Right. If I'm lifting weights, shouldn't I be focusing on that ballistic push rather than continuous flow? Why does a linebacker need to move like a ballet dancer?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, focusing only on that ballistic fragment is precisely why athletes plateau or suffer non-contact injuries.
Oh, interesting.
Brute force, without kinematic continuity, doesn't translate to athletic power. It actually limits your absolute power.
Because if your movement is fragmented, your energy leaks at the joints.
Exactly. The force from your legs doesn't transfer efficiently through your torso. An NFL lineman needs optimal co-contraction to deliver explosive force without tearing their own ligaments.
Okay, that makes sense. So breaking the movement into pieces makes us weaker and more injury-prone. But why do we do it? Why do we lose the line?
Dr. DeLong identifies the root cause as a fundamental mistrust of the body.
Mistrust. Like my motor cortex doesn't trust my own knee.
Basically, yes. Let's say you twisted your ankle 5 years ago. At that moment, your nervous system smartly created a compensation, a slight limp, to protect the joint.
A vital survival mechanism.
Right. But over time, that physical caution hardwires itself into your motor cortex as a permanent habit. Even after the tissue is completely healed, the neurological brake remains.
Wow. So it's like driving a car with the emergency brake pulled up just one click. You don't notice it at low speeds, but when you hit the gas, it drags on the whole system.
That invisible drag is what breaks the flow. The brain prioritizes avoiding a remembered pain over executing optimal biomechanics.
So we're carrying around these invisible software bugs. But if a coach can't see the hesitation and the athlete can't feel it, how do you fix it?
This is where Kinexa Technologies comes in, right?
This is their core philosophy. Kinexa doesn't aim to build force. Their entire methodology revolves around lifting the interferences.
Helping the nervous system stop interrupting the flow.
Yes, they look for what they call the signature of the rupture of flux. It's the exact millisecond the nervous system hesitates before engaging.
But how do they measure a hesitation that's completely invisible to the naked eye?
They measure human movement at 200 hertz. That is 200 times a second.
Wow. So capturing data points every 5 milliseconds. That's a resolution the human brain can't even process in real time. What does a rupture of flux look like at that speed? It manifests as a kinematic dissonance, a micro-hesitation. You might see a sprinter whose knee doesn't fully extend for a fraction of a millisecond.
Or a baseball pitcher whose shoulder subconsciously decelerates right before finishing a throw.
Exactly. Because the brain is remembering an old strain.
Okay, so the sensors find the microbreak. You've diagnosed the glitch. But spotting it in the data doesn't fix it. What's the process?
It's a 3-step process. First is the fluidity variance audit, which we just described, detecting the hesitations to erase them.
Got it. What's step 2?
Neural continuity mapping. They map the transition quality so movement has no distinct beginning or end, just an uninterrupted flow.
And the third step?
The flow signature score. This score evolves session by session. It's a living dialogue between the athlete, the coach, and the body.
So what does this all mean? I mean, this feels revolutionary for physical therapy. You're treating the nervous system's memory rather than just the physical muscle.
It really is. But it brings up a challenge for the human coach.
Yeah.
How do you use this highly technical data without losing the human element?
Yeah, how does a coach not just become a data analyst staring at a spreadsheet?
Dr. DeLong addresses this with what he calls the coach's canvas. Kinexa is engineered to empower the coach. It provides a common language to show rather than explain.
So instead of saying your shoulder looks stiff, you can pull up a 3-week real-time data demo and show them.
Exactly. Kinexa provides the exact date a flow rupture appears, the specific exercise, and the exact location in the movement's amplitude.
But there's a caveat, right?
Yes, Kinexa does not replace the coach's eye, experience, or relationship with the athlete. It is simply the equivalent of Botticelli's preparatory sketches.
The precision that allows for free intuition. I love that.
Me too. And the presentation highlights a fascinating comparison from the source. Jackson Pollock versus Sandro Botticelli.
Jackson Pollock, oh, the drip technique guy. Raw, chaotic, explosive kinetic energy.
Yes, they represent two complementary dimensions of movement. Pollock represents the gestural trace, the raw intention.
Like, does my gesture say what I want it to say? Did I lift the weight? Did I hit the ball?
Exactly, that's the outcome. Botticelli, on the other hand, represents the flow signature, the continuity.
Does my gesture flow or does it break?
Right. And Kinexa renders both of these dimensions measurable.
So how does seeing movement as both a Pollock and a Botticelli change the way an athlete visualizes their own training?
It's a paradigm shift.
Huh.
You can have the raw intention of Pollock. You can hit a tennis ball with incredible force.
Yeah.
But if you lack the flow signature of Botticelli, if that swing is full of micro-hesitations, you will eventually tear a muscle or hit a speed ceiling.
True athletic totality requires both. The explosive outcome delivered through continuous flow.
Precisely.
Well, let's synthesize this journey for the listener. We started by looking at the invisible, calculated effort in Renaissance art.
The figura serpentinata.
Right. And then we explored using 200 Hz sensors to map neural hesitation in modern athletes. Kinexa's philosophy is just beautifully simple. The line is already there. We just help you stop interrupting it.
It really is profound, and this raises an important question, something for you to think about. If our bodies hold on to invisible neurological brakes long after an old injury has healed, where else in your life are you subconsciously applying the brakes because of an old healed pain?
Oh, wow. That's deep.
Right. In your career, your relationships, your creative pursuits, where is your flow being interrupted by a habit of hesitation?
That is an incredibly provocative thought to end on. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into Kinexa formation and the hidden architecture of grace. As you go about your day, look for the invisible lines of life in your own daily movements. Are you flowing or are you secretly fighting your own brakes? Catch you next time.